Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be discussing the books that I read in the month of August. I read 2 books this month, both of which were terrible. One more so than the other. The first book I read was The Maddest Obsession by Danielle, and the second book I read was Ride With Me by Simone Soltani. The second book I read was Ride With Me by Simone Soltani, I believe is how you pronounce her last name. The first book I gave 1 star, and the second book I gave 3 stars, so let's get into it. The first book I read this month was The Maddest Obsession. This book was so horrible. The writing was just generally choppy, there were so many plot holes, and I was not rooting for any of the characters to get together. Gianna is just generally annoying. She very much leans into the I'm not like other girls trope. She doesn't dress like other girls, she doesn't act like other girls, she curses, she fights back. We've seen it before, it's not interesting and it's not unique. Her and Christian basically have zero chemistry. Christian's reason for liking her is that she's not like other girls, and he spends the entire book ignoring her and just like standing idly by as she marries a bunch of other men. Also, throughout the entire book, Gianna is very clear that she does not want kids. She has no interest in kids, she doesn't want to be tied down by having kids, but also simultaneously throughout the book, there are so many mentions of her period, of her not feeling well. So I'm gonna jump ahead if you don't want spoilers, but basically in the end she does end up getting pregnant. I don't know why this is so necessary for these romance novels nowadays. I think it's because we now have this, I'm gonna call it a subgenre of like book talk mafia novels, which is like trad wife mafia novels, which do not work because you cannot have mafia and trad wife. But for some reason, this woman who's not like other girls, doesn't want kids, ends up still with this man having a child because that's the kind of society we live in nowadays. I also dislike that she's very set in not wanting to get married throughout the entire book. She's had all these mafia husbands, and at the end of the book, when they're all dead, she's like, I never want to get married again. Guess who she fucking marries? The man who's been ignoring her the whole book. So, I don't know what to tell you. 1 star. Writing was terrible, plot was terrible. I really didn't want to finish it. Did it for you. Don't read it. Like, I can't even slightly recommend this one. Horrible trad wife mafia pregnancy trope book. Don't do it. The second book I read this month was Ride With Me. I gave this book 3 stars. I don't know if y'all know this, I'm a very big Formula 1 fan, and so when I picked up this Formula 1 romance novel, I was really excited. I did like this book. It is definitely a slow burn. The characters are not annoying at all. I did really root for them. The banter is really cute. I like that they both have personalities and goals. One of my issues with this book is that it is definitely a harder read if you're a fan of the actual sport. For example, she switches around the names of the teams. So if you watch Formula 1, you know that there's a team called McLaren. In this book, there's a team called McMorris. So I could read it, but sometimes I was like, this is kind of stupid. I know what teams you're talking about, but I'm sure there was copyright issues or something like that. Like I mentioned before, this book is a slow burn. I would say it's an extreme slow burn. More happens in the first couple of chapters of this book than really happens throughout the rest of it. I didn't really mind because there was a lot of plot twists, which I won't give away because I actually kind of liked this one. So I'll say it definitely keeps you on your toes, but it is a slow burn. And finally, this is technically the second book in the series. I have not read the first one yet, but you don't really need to read the first one. I probably will just because I liked this book, but you don't necessarily need it in order to read this one. So that's all for this month. I know this was a really short video. I'll probably have more next month, but I've already started The Devil Thinks I'm Pretty by Charlotte Elsby. I'm really excited about this one. It's really good so far, so hopefully I have a good book this month. And if you have any recommendations for things I should read in the future, just let me know. Bye!